When you're here, you're with everybody. And that's how
When
a
you're
guy
here,
like...
your family.
Yeah, that is true. But it is...
Point of my career, if it's what?
I was holding back my interruption.
Okay.
I was holding it back.
Okay, I just meant.
I will interrupt you eventually, but...
I think
You
you
just
did.
did.
All right, training camp is officially over.
Josh Allen's going to play on Saturday.
And we give our training camp awards from the Bills' time here in Pittsford.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
Welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We always appreciate it. Training camp.
Shout out Brian. Talked to him
Shout out
today.
Brian.
Yeah.
Shout
Buffalo
out.
Plus subscriber.
Yes. No, great. Had a great
Yeah.
conversation with him. He was fantastic. I also
Who
just
else?
wanted Pops Mafia.
Okay.
They also stopped us. That was nice.
That's
okay.
nice.
Let's get into it. Training camp, Mike, is officially over.
Is my microphone in the proper position?
Yes.
I got
We've-
scolded.
We've had some audio issues from Catalana pontificating
Yeah.
as such.
I
We're
am-
working on it.
I am working on it. I am trying to be good. Yes.
We went back and watched the film.
I did. I do study the tape.
Proud of
These
you.
guys, we set a standard here, and I do not want to fail the standard.
The standard's
So,
the standard.
The standard's the standard. So if it's not working, I am going to fix it. So I'm trying to stand still, hold my microphone in the proper place.
Proud of you.
After 40 years, I'll learn how to do this.
Way to go,
camp
Dad.
is over. And McDermott says it all the time, and I agree with him on this. Camp continues. They're not in season mode
Yeah.
yet, where they're game planning and they're doing all that. So it moves to Orchard Park. But there's no question this is an element. This is a level of what they do. This is going away. This is the way they handle practice. And I do think it's a step. And I think this was a very productive, calm, relaxed, impactful camp for them.
Yeah, we were just eating lunch saying there wasn't any too much chaos. There wasn't a day when everything went haywire, things like that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing for the team. It's a good thing for us. We do need to correct yesterday. I'll say this first. Justin Shorter. We have missed him over the last few days. Also, KJ Hamler was the pass catcher of the day yesterday. He was all over the field making impact plays, caught
Yeah.
a touchdown. He was one of my notes that I had that we just skipped over from the notebook. So
Yes.
KJ Hamler started to stand out. That was also one of the things we were talking about when we were thinking about wide receivers. They're going to keep probably 6 like we think as they usually do, but also how does that affect the return game, the special teams game, all of those things.
Yeah, a lot still, like you've talked about. Training camp continues. It's just this phase of it is over. I do think that we say it every year, that it's so impactful for the players to get away and how it's unique to have, an NFL team that still goes away for training camp. I think in particular this year for this team with so many new guys, that actually was very important this last little stretch. So I think the players were ready to get home. They had responsibilities at home, all that stuff. But I think Fisher offered yet again the opportunity for players to get to know one another, this team to gel in ways that, if you don't have the same experience, it's not going to be quite the same.
Josh talked about it feeling different. I don't necessarily, and some people took that and ran because of no Stephon Diggs and things like that. I think camp felt also, there were new faces, but it felt like similar energy. It didn't seem like, oh my gosh, there's this glaring lack of juice or anything like that. I think there were just new faces that supplied that juice. But I don't think that was a shot at Diggs. It is what it is. Deion Dawkins talked about it earlier before training camp, that the team feels different. There are mainstays, captains of this team that are no longer here, and things have to be replaced.
I think when you think about camp, for all the players, especially the veteran guys like Josh and Deion, it's really about 90 guys when they're here.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between being here and being in Orchard Park. In Orchard Park, like you guys said, you go, you practice, you go home, you're in your meetings, you're with your guy. When you're here, you're with everybody. And that's how
When
a
you're
guy
here,
like...
your family.
Yeah, that is true. But it is...
You're going to like the way you look.
I
guarantee it. This is the connection that they get here for those few weeks. It works for the period of time. I actually think it's a great amount of time.
Perfect.
I think
I
it's
agree.
long enough that it's impactful. It's not too long that it becomes drudgery. The weather held up, all those things. But when I say that, Deion, recognizes defensive players. He's friends with Kyer Elam. I think a lot of that, I'm not saying starts at camp, but you see the guys differently because they are together basically the entire time. So I do think that matters. And to your guys' point, even for us, like, there's a lot of new guys here that are going to be players, not just new guys that may get cut in a few weeks, new guys that are going to be on the team.
That are in a role position for this team. So Saturday will be interesting. Sean McDermott said at his press conference that the ones will be playing for about a quarter of the preseason game against the Bears. We had talked to Josh Allen. He said, I'll play if I need to. I don't know if at this point in my career, if it's what?
I was holding back my interruption.
Okay.
I was holding it back.
Okay, I just meant.
I will interrupt you eventually, but.
I think
you just did.
But I think for Josh, he's going to play if he's asked to do that. He also is at the point in his career. I don't think that it's like impertinent for that, but the ones are playing. I think it'll be an opportunity for Allen and the new receivers to get some time.
Mike was right and Mike was wrong. Mike was wrong when you said Josh Allen sounded like a guy that had no interest in playing.
He still is.
Okay. But you were right about the fact of new guys, and if you was going to play week 1.
Credit to me, I said that. And by the way, he still sounds like a guy who doesn't want to play, but they want those guys on the field. When I say doesn't want to play, Josh Allen, gamer, goes through everything.
Correct.
It's preseason. He's been through a lot. If Sean said to him, hey, what do you think? Like, if his answer was, I'll do what I want, I don't think he's playing. But I do think it's important for him to be on the field with those guys. Throwing out all those receivers with Mitch and the starting offensive line, I won't say does you no good, but it basically does you no good.
Sean said the amount of new faces on this offense, which is something that we've talked about, of if he would play, should he play, those kind of things, was baked into the decision of the ones playing about a quarter.
Now, I'm going to continue. I'm going to double down on this bet. You can relate to this. I'm going to say he's going to practice Thursday. Like I said, he's not going to play in that preseason game, and he's not going to play in the last one. This will be the only time he plays in the preseason.
It's the only time I want to see him play.
Last year he played in 2 games.
Yeah.
If he's going to play, I want to see it once. I don't even want to see a quarter. I want to see a couple series.
You have to make that take now and cannot be results-based. If the offense looks great, that's fine. Bubble wrap him for week 1. If the offense looks terrible, that's fine. Bubble wrap him for week 1. I don't want to look at preseason results and go, oh, we had this plan. Now because they went 3 and out and punted twice, we gotta have him play now. I think that's a reactionary way to treat the preseason.
I just want to see Josh Allen
Jenna
on the
thinks I was
sidelines in a
do.
baseball hat.
I just think it's funny you said reactionary.
I'm never
Because
reactionary.
you could sometimes be reactionary.
Jenna, can you believe this tweet?
We guess we're
How
all.
did I catch a stray on that? I didn't say anything.
Yeah, you did. I'm
Baseball
sorry.
hat on the sidelines, Josh.
Yes.
Spitting sunflower seeds.
That means
Yes.
he's fine. He plays whatever the level is. Throw him. I don't care if the Bears start their 3rd string in the game. I don't care.
Yep.
Let Josh get his snaps, get a little bit of work in.
don't
Some of it is learning. They do use it for communication.
Yes.
So, but Joe was the coordinator last
Yeah.
year. That's different. Maybe on defense because that's the other part.
I was going to mention that.
Yes. Well, I'll let you mention that. But in this case,
She's the host.
It's a quarter. It's just get through the quarter. If they look good, great, and then move on.
If they look good, do you want him to be pulled before a quarter?
No, I think you go in with a plan. You maybe have 15 to 20 plays that are scripted. You have them go through the plays, good, bad, indifferent. You're done.
You just asked him a question. He got very.
I know. He was so reactionary.
I know.
I don't know, because I kind of feel like if it's going well, just pull him before that. Which that is probably
I
a
remember
hot
that
take.
Green Bay series. They marched down the field
They
a few
looked
years
electric.
ago. But they went back out for another series.
Didn't they go back into the 3rd quarter?
I can't remember what
Why
it
do
was.
I feel like they used
that
to
was
make
a
this
COVID
point.
year?
Oh my God! They went out there and then they
Oh my God.
kept.
Okay, that was kind of funny.
It was. They went out. I think they went out for the 3rd
God.
quarter.
Yeah,
and
they were
everybody was
great in
like,
the first
he
half.
just kept throwing touchdowns, I believe, to your friend Gabe Davis.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, that's it. He's done. And then he kept going out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you risking this? So we'll see how it goes. But also, I wouldn't mind seeing Mitch get some series with the ones.
Yeah.
I always think about this. He's your backup. Always remember this. Mitch Trubisky's going to play in these games with second and third string guys,
And we're
he's
gonna
not going
judge
to look
him.
great, and people are going to go, this guy can't play or whatever.
We'll be
All you
reactionary.
care about with Mitchell Trubisky is that he could play with the starters if you needed him to, because that's the only time he's ever going to be on the field unless it's mop up at the end. So
Yeah.
we'll see what they decide to do. But oh my God, I won't say it anymore.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh, the humanity. Is that what people say?
Of all the things that I've seen, Roger Clemens.
Oh no, going off the rails.
Okay,
It's
so
in George's box.
okay, Susie.
That's baseball, Susan.
All right, so Josh will be playing. Now that camp here at Fisher is wrapped up, we
Yeah.
wanted to do some superlatives.
Before we get into the superlatives, we asked some hard-hitting questions at the end of camp, just to piggyback off of Josh. He's growing the mustache because of the offensive lineman. We asked Connor McGovern, along with Catherine Fitzgerald of the Buffalo News, the Big J journalists, and asked Connor about mustaches.
How much more in sync are you guys now that you have matching mustaches?
I think that just adds up another notch on it. So, but there's only 3 of us. It's only me, Dave, and Josh. So, wish we try to get more guys involved. But they're like, oh, we can't grow the facial. It doesn't matter how good it looks and all that. It's about just doing it together. So,
Josh's mustache.
I'll give it a. Is he clean shaved like everything else, or is it just like he still has a scruff? Just mustache. I'll give it a 8.3.
And yours?
7.4.
Dave?
Dave, I would give. He looks good with just the mustache. I would give him like a 9.1.
I thought Connor was very fair. There was no bias in his mustache evaluation. This is not a fire alarm going off. It is just a truck backing up as they're getting
Yes.
ready to clear.
It's taken like 20 minutes to back up that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a
Miracles.
thing we had to ask.
Yeah. You were
I was,
right in on
I
it.
was itching.
It's so funny because there's times during a scrum, which when you have all your microphones and you're interviewing a player, and you're like, all right, like we got like the substance out of the way.
Yeah.
And then you're like, whose mustache is better? It's like, okay.
I will say, it appears to me that Josh, for just the mustache, has all the enthusiasm that he does for playing in the preseason.
Yes.
It's like, I did it because they asked
I'm here
me.
so I don't get fined.
Yes. Same energy.
He's
for
got
sure.
it's got a little bit of Uncle Rico vibes.
Oh, definitely. That I could
He
definitely
can
see
throw
that.
that ball,
Over
though.
the mountains.
That he can.
Back to the awards.
Okay,
Host
awards.
away.
Host away. I have them written down. We'll talk
I
about.
went old school like Dan.
I like that.
Notes.
All right, so let me get to my text message thread.
This is good podcasting.
Do you know how to use
So-
the phone?
We went with. Let's start with most improved.
I think we're all going to be on the same page here. We'll say
On
it on
three.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Kyer Elam.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Good job,
Kyer.
guys.
Yeah.
That's it.
We
There
did
we
it.
go.
We did it.
We did it, Joe.
We did it. All right. We've talked about on this channel, going into this season when Kyer had a nice spring, I was like, that's cute. We'll see if he can continue that. But what we have seen throughout camp, he's made big splash plays. He's looked good in coverage. He's been working in with the ones. Realistically, do I think he's pushing for a number 1 spot to take over Christian Benford or Rasul Douglas? No. But I've been really happy with what I've seen from a guy that I originally thought, I don't know how long he'll be in Buffalo or how impactful he'd be with the team.
What I wanted to add to that is we're saying at camp, and he's been great at camp. This started in the spring.
Yep.
He looked different in the spring, and he's playing with confidence. And Sean basically referred to him as the number 3 corner.
Yeah.
Now, that may not seem, he was former number 1, like you said, but last year he was like 6. You know, like you always say, break glass for emergency. That's who he was. He didn't play until they had to have him on the field. He's back. He's back as a legitimate player on the team, and now we'll see how he is in the games,
we'll-
but he's definitely made progress.
can be a contributor.
Yes.
Not in case of emergency, but because of his play. And again, I know it's tough to see your third corner as a former first-round pick that you traded up for, but if you just look back, zoom out a little bit, where he was last year, there's no question of the progress that he's been able to make, which I think is a big asset for this team to have. Corners get nicked up. Benford's been nicked up several times in his career. We saw Rasul Douglas go out at the end of last year. You need to have corners, and to have one kind of, it was Dane Jackson for a while. Like to have, hey, this guy's always dependable.
Levi Wallace.
Consistent. That's what Sean said, was the consistency that he has seen out of Kyer, which has been a big plus.
Go ahead.
I think, too, what was interesting when we talked to Deion Dawkins earlier in camp, he said, I think Kyer has done a great job of eliminating the distractions both inside and outside. And that, to me, kind of, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because the outside, I think, refers to, the noise about what he can be as a player. But the inside, with there being a new defensive backs coach, I think that, to me, is, okay, that maybe that equates to having the inside noise, with there being a fresh face there.
I think that's bigger. I think the coaching is bigger. John Butler didn't like him.
Yeah, I was trying to
coach.
be nice about saying
No,
that.
he didn't like him. He didn't like him as a player. I don't know personally, but he didn't want him on the field. Didn't trust him. Didn't want him on the field.
We're not in the building. But it's pretty clear how different Kyer looks without John Butler.
And
Yes.
changing his number. I'm telling you, he loves that number 5.
And the most fascinating thing
Cinco
we have,
Savage.
That's it.
the most fascinating thing we have found out about Kyer is the amount that man sweats.
It's absurd.
I can't unsee it.
The 3 pairs of cleats during games and during practices. He looks like he's just jumped out of the shower with full pads on.
His shoes, it's like he steps and you see the...
And it's a puddle.
Yeah.
What
And
did his
he's-
girlfriend say about hot yoga?
Hot yoga, they have to just drape towels around him because he sweats
I
so
can just
much.
picture him in like a little kiddie pool.
And for
like
anyone...
to make sure he doesn't ruin the rest of the studio.
For anyone who's attempting to lose weight, he says, 6-7 pounds of practice
Yeah.
Dang.
that he loses. Sweating.
Have you guys done hot yoga?
Yeah, once.
I
With
tried
you.
it.
We
With
did
me?
it together. We did the spinning in
Oh,
got a big memory
yes.
for
I do remember that now. It was at
Renee was there too.
yes. I remember that.
Yeah. Did he sweat that much?
Nope. I don't think anybody sweats that much.
I don't think anyone does. Okay, next player. We're going to go MIA during camp.
I actually have a few of those.
Go first,
I
Michael.
was going to say, why don't you start?
Chase Claypool.
That's one.
That's very fair.
I just saw him signing autographs. He's been great with the fans. He got hurt.
Yeah.
He had a couple of plays early in camp. He is physically jacked. He is in great shape.
He looks
all
like a
that stuff.
statue.
He does. But I don't know if his money doesn't keep him on the team. I don't know what the plan is. Now, let's see. Let's see where we are in another couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
he needs to be on the field. And not that there was some guarantee, because I know a lot of you were very iffy, like we were on bringing him in here, but they took a shot. MIA, really.
Yeah.
I'll go with Mike Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Again, another guy that we just
that's-
haven't seen, period.
That's what
And
I
again,
was
I know
gonna
these MIA, sometimes it's like, the play on the field. Another guy I was just kind of thinking of was Ty Johnson, but he's another guy that's been injured. We just haven't seen them get the reps. And again, it's more for Mike Edwards, who just hasn't been in the system at all.
I don't want to interrupt you. I'll let Jenna go. But I don't want to interrupt you. I'll let Jenna go. But what I wanted to say is the main difference between Ty Johnson and those guys is Ty Johnson's
He's been in the system.
but Mike Edwards was counted on. Even when I mentioned, when you talk about Chase Claypool, there was hope there. Mike Edwards, I think they penciled him in as the starter. And he's not been on the field, and it's a hamstring. And that is really, I think, to your point, that may be the most impactful of all of them.
Yeah.
Because of what, Claypool could contribute. Some of these other guys, I was going to mention Justin Shorter just because.
I was going to mention Shorter because he's just been passed. Guys have passed
other
him.
guys have passed him.
Yeah.
And now he's got a
been the case.
knee injury.
Yeah. What do you
I
got?
was going to do Mike Edwards too, just
Yeah.
because of what you talked about, how the expectation was essentially he was going to be the starter. And now to see that he didn't get on the field much in spring, he hasn't been able to get much on the field this summer, and the injury that he does have, it is very concerning. I do want to mention though, I feel like, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I do feel like I have not given enough credit to DeMar Hamlin. I know,
When you were saying some people penciled Mike Edwards in as the starter, I said
Yeah.
some people. I was going to interrupt you and say some people didn't.
I will tell you this. I do not believe this team planned on or wanted DeMar to be the starter. I think they're comfortable in him being that third safety because he's been around. That's not the plan coming in, but it may. I mean, look, they drafted a kid in the second round. He's been hurt. They signed a free agent who's a veteran who's been around. He's been hurt. And DeMar, to his credit, has stepped in and played. Was not the plan. I don't believe it's the plan, but it may be what they end up having to do.
Yep.
I think
Micah Hyde comes back.
absolutely both things are true. I think that they
So
had the
credit to both of us.
Mainly credit to me.
Okay.
The other guy I wanted to mention,
Okay.
and this is probably not fair at all, but he's out there, is Cedric Van Pran Granger. I always want to say Pan Granger. Only because a lot of you thought they drafted him. He's a Georgia guy. He's going to come in. Maybe he just has not been somebody that they've talked about. Doesn't mean he won't be good eventually. Doesn't mean at some point he won't be the center on this team. And he'll get to play in the preseason. But the only reason I say that is because he just has not been talked about because he doesn't get that many opportunities.
I mean, you could talk about the rest of the draft class and how they have been able to flash, even though Cole Bishop obviously has the injury, but he made some nice plays. Even Hardy, who a guy that we're like, oh, he'll be the return guy. But yeah, I could definitely see why you would say that. And I feel like people come up to us and ask us, but it's like we really haven't.
Carter's got some reps with the ones
Yeah.
mixed in. So there have been a few of them that haven't done anything.
When it wasn't McGovern, it's Alec Anderson.
Correct.
Yeah.
Alex Anderson getting the
Alec.
snaps. Yeah, Alec.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to biggest surprise. The biggest surprise of training camp.
You
And
go
I
first.
want to remind you all that there is training camp darling still available and pass catcher of camp.
Okay.
My biggest surprise is Tyrell Shavers. When I looked at the wide receivers on the roster card, I saw the names and I saw Justin Shorter, and I was like, oh yeah, Tyrell Shavers. He was on the practice squad. I think he's done such a nice job of being consistent and every day kind of, for the most part, growing in a positive progression. Does that mean he will be on this roster? Does that mean that he will be, out there starting? I don't know. I would be surprised by that, but he to me is just someone that I had zero expectations of, and he has made people pay attention to him in a way that I don't think anyone was expecting.
Got a surprise. I'll go Von Miller.
Wow.
I think Von, no knee brace, has flashed at times. It's also partly because we had such little expectations. We have talked about what would be a successful season for Von, but we caught up with him today after practice to ask him, guys always work on certain things at training camp. What was important for him and the biggest change this camp? And this is what Von had to say.
I think I played a lot of football. I got a lot of snaps. I've been in a lot of situations. For me, it was the big question for me was how was I gonna feel, out here health-wise. And I'm in a great spot. I feel great. And I think, like I said before, health is wealth, and feeling great on the football field lead into that mental aspect of the game that we was talking about earlier. And I feel great, and that'll lead to success on the field for me for sure.
Again. I think that there is something that hopefully Von is finding something. Whether he said he felt great last year and tried to play through it, but then he said, I really shouldn't have played at all 12 months later, that's to be decided. Von loves talking to the media. He's been in the league for a long time. But again, if they can find a part of Von Miller that he used to be, it'd be a big addition.
So I'm going to equate this to what you were saying about Kaiir Elam. And you said...
That was me.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't think I said that. Because you said he's a former first-round pick. Just like Von gets a lot of money. At this point, it impacts the roster in a way, but it really doesn't matter. The fact that Von makes a lot of money puts him on the roster. My point is, I believe he's going to be more of a specialty player. His snaps are going to come in the not very obvious, mostly obvious passing downs, and they're going to try to get the most out of him. That's a lot of money to pay a guy. But they're paying him.
That has a niche role.
Yeah.
They are paying him, but I think it's the smart way to go. And like with Elam, I think the smart way to go, even though he's a former number one who's making a lot more money than Christian Benford is, he is going to play that role. He's on your roster partially because of the contract, maybe. I mean, we say that, but you got to make it work.
I do think we've seen a difference, though, this camp.
Yep.
And even Vaughn talked about the mental part is almost, he said it was 90%. months. And I do think that with an injury like that, it is not an oil change. It takes time to recover.
So stupid
physically,
anybody that would say that.
Physically, it takes time to recover. What an idiot. Physically, it takes time to recover, but I think mentally is the biggest hurdle because can you trust that leg? Do you feel comfortable cutting and twitch movements and stuff like that? And we've just seen way more of that on the field over here.
Catching another one. I didn't do that.
All right, who's your biggest surprise?
Matt Collins is a pass catcher. Listen, when they signed him, I was like, great. I wanted to get that in there. You kept getting in the agains. I wanted to get the listen in there. When they signed him, I was like, special teams guy. He'll be here. He's going to be part of the offense.
I think so.
He catches the football.
Number 1 on the depth chart. He's a starting wide receiver on the first depth chart that comes out.
And I think he has played that role. I think he is energetic. Mm-hmm. But, some guys can be that, and then they don't deliver. I think this guy's been around long enough. He will make some plays for them. I did not see him in any form coming in after signing with the team as, they got Matt Collins. I was like, fifth guy, special teams. He's better than that.
Yep. Exactly what I thought.
And I have a source that told me ate lasagna with his hands.
Oh, I hate that so deeply.
It's, again, a lot of people cringe. When I sat down with Mac, he's always conscientious of washing his hands.
Yes.
No, so it's not the hygiene. It's the fact of that's a tough thing to eat with your hands.
That's the optics. It's not the hygiene. Yeah, I trust that he washes his hands. It's just like the optics of seeing that.
I don't worry about the washing of the hands because, listen, you eat with your hands with a lot of food.
Yeah.
You're right. That's one that you're like, that takes some
effort.
It's
like slippery.
Lasagna with the hands.
Okay.
I just don't.
Moving right along.
I don't like that at all. Okay. You want to? Okay. So the next one, training camp darling.
Matt Collins.
I would agree with that.
The way that he's interacted, I think the story of getting out there, people getting to know him a little bit more, credit to me, has really, really, people loved it. Max loved it. He's embraced it. He has signed, I counted 742,521 autographs. Yeah. Unbelievable.
He's usually the last player out signing autographs.
That's a big training camp darling.
I agree. I agree.
The autographs.
Yeah, I agree. But I think for so long, I think last year was Andy Isabella, a guy who, was cute if he made the roster, all that stuff. Mac, like you talked about, will have way more of a role than I was expecting. So I think the training camp darling definition in my eyes has changed for this summer. But that being said, I completely think that it is him because the embrace and he's got and like the signs, people want to talk about Mac.
I agree with you with that. The response, and he's been awesome. The KEON gets the response from the fans. Now listen, he's been a little more serious. He's signed autographs, but he's not like Mac. I mean, Mac's out there long term. If you're in this place, so in the building, we can say, I would agree with that. From outside, I believe it's Tyrell Shavers. If somebody's sitting at home hearing all this stuff.
Sean McDermott singling him out again.
He loves him.
So when I say that, I mean going forward, like all through, and I think, I said again. I think he's going to get a lot of snaps in the preseason and make some plays, and that darling is going to continue.
Sean was asked a question about if there's any veteran or anybody that has surprised you at camp. And in classic Sean McDermott fashion, he's like, I've been impressed with all the battles. And he's like, I know that's a cop-out of a question. Later on in the question, he goes, and Tyrell Shavers. Like, he always wants to loop things in. It was an unprompted time for Sean to make a Tyrell Shavers note. I thought that's very telling.
I don't want to get off track, but he did also mention Tyler Bass in his answer.
He said he loves his work. I tweeted it out. I can't remember what it was. He's confident in his work.
I was like, that's, pumping your guys' tires, in my opinion.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Sean's
you got
watching.
This, buddy.
Sean is watching. And you guys mentioned when we talked about the roster for camp, no other kicker.
Like what he's seen from Tyler Bass.
Yeah.
I haven't. Sorry, Sean, I haven't. And we were watching him kick the ball. It just doesn't. He has preseason. Sean did say, there may be circumstances where I would normally go for it, where we may kick the ball.
Yeah.
I'll say this. If you're confident in your kicker, That's not what you feel the need to do. Sometimes we'd watch, even last summer,
Very good point.
you'd be saying, why are you kicking this 41-yard field goal? It's Tyler Bass. He's fine. He's got great holder, great snap. You're not worried about it. Use your offense. No, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
There is a concern. He is trying to pump him up, but he's got to be good because that is a worry.
Yep.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like, whoa, not, oh, sorry, Mike.
Yep.
I think that goes right into our next award. The biggest concern for me, it's kicking. I'm out. I'm concerned.
You're concerned?
I have a slight concern with Tyler Bass.
So he's finally
So
catching
credit
up
to us.
Credit to us because
Credit,
we were.
credit to me, actually, because I started
How
it.
do I not even get part of that credit?
Because you've had a lot of credits. I mean that in a great way.
I'm giving myself credit.
Credit
no,
to
we
us.
talked about it last year, and you mentioned Bass, and then it became an issue, and they lost confidence. They're trying to build that back up. He's a talented guy that they paid. So that does
Factors in.
impact things a little bit. So let's go see. But my biggest concern,
I think we're going to have the same one.
I'm concerned about Matt Milano.
Oh,
No.
not what I was
Nope.
expecting.
That ain't it, Chief.
I was going to go James Cook.
Also a good concern. Second Jenna's.
The reason
I
I
veto
say,
Mike's.
The reason I say Milano is my expectations for Matt Milano are Matt Milano, great player. When they talk about the injury, Babbage, McDermott, they're all like, yeah, he's coming back, he's stacking days, he's whatever. My feeling is we may be hearing that. I hope not. I hope by week 1 he is flying around. He made a play yesterday on James Cook in the flat, and I turned to you guys and said, I liked it. And then Sean mentioned that play today. It was great. He looked like Milano because Cook is good in the open field, and he stopped him. My worry is that we're going to be in October, and that may still be a conversation. Obviously, this injury was a lot.
Yeah.
Because we're thinking at the end of the year, could Milano come back? No. Here we are. It's going to be preseason, and he's still not physically Matt Milano. That is because I have high expectations for him as a player. I hope that my fears are just overthinking, but
I've seen enough of what I need to see in training camp of Matt Milano. I've seen him cover running backs in the flat, like you said. I've seen him tackle Curtis Samuel. I've seen him tackle James Cook. Again, some of these 7-on-7s, there have been passes completed against him. It's 7-on-7. I'm not worried about catches by Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid. Not worried.
I hope you're right. I hope for this case you can take credit. I want you to be able to take credit.
Okay.
But
Wow,
I
don't-
hope that
don't
I am,
say that.
I hope that for the first time in my career I'm wrong.
While I worry that he's not, I think he's way closer than it is to be an issue, if that makes sense.
I hope so.
I think he is closer to being who he was than who he was recovering from injury-wise. So,
Yep.
Good.
all right.
Last one.
Last one.
Position we're most confident in
Oh, no,
outside
we have
of
two
quarterback.
more.
Well, we have pass catcher though.
Cam.
Okay.
What was the one you said?
And then position we're most
Position
confident.
group. Yeah. Right.
How do we?
All
Let's
right, pass catcher of Cam.
do pass catcher.
3, 2, 1.
Dalton
Coleman.
Kincaid. Oh.
I look at it differently. I separate Kincaid, and honestly, I'm putting Shakir in there too.
Okay.
They're really good. I expect it. They're very good. They rarely run a poor route.
So not MVS. Just wanted to make sure we were all.
I have concerns about KEON getting a release about press coverage.
He's
I don't-
better than I thought he was going to be.
I don't know who's going to stop Kincaid a lot of games.
He's not being talked about either nationally, which is shocking to me.
Kincaid?
Yeah, he's
It's
really
because
not.
good.
It's a second-year tight end. It's tough to ask him to be a Travis Kelce, which I think sometimes the expectations get ahead of themselves.
But he performed at a pretty high level last year. He looks good all the time
All the
playing.
time.
He looks the
catches
part.
everything,
Yeah.
but Shakir is right there.
Wrong.
No, I'm approaching the question
This is actually the
differently.
perfect spot for me.
I approach the question differently because my expectations for both of them are here, and they met it. So I'm looking at it just from the difference of what I saw at camp. And I thought, well, KEON showed not just going up to get the ball, high-end ability. And I'm with you. He's going to have to learn a bunch of other
Yep.
stuff.
He's got to get more things in his tool belt.
I agree
and
with
again,
that.
give him time.
But the kid's got talent.
No question.
Yes.
He definitely has talent.
No question.
I was shocked at the contested catches and how well that has looked.
Above the
But not
rim.
even always above the rim. Like
That's where it's
and
best.
like tight, yes, but
Ball's
like
above
tight,
his shoulders.
tight windows, all that stuff.
Red zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Red zone. He's good. He's good in the red zone.
Yeah.
And we've seen him cross in the field. We've seen him go high. We've seen him catch back shoulder. He's done all those things. Now it's got to translate to the real game.
You see all the potential.
Yep.
I think we both said Kincaid because day in, day out, he looked great.
Yep.
Smooth,
There was
polished.
never a ball that was thrown to him where I went, oh, he should have caught that.
I completely agree.
I just wanted officially on the
Oh, go
record.
ahead.
I wanted officially on the record that I'm all in that Kincaid.
Yeah.
He's the best pass catcher.
And I'm
on the
in
team.
on I'm in on Coleman. I'm just
Right.
saying.
It's just the way we looked at the question. That
Yeah,
was the only thing.
we were just figuring it out.
It's
Okay.
a long pod. The
This
last
is.
one. Position group we're most confident in, not quarterbacks. I'd like to go first.
Okay.
We have our sponsor too, also right
Yes,
over here.
Greg Connors.
Connors.
Look at that.
And he's getting the sneak peek. For me, it's cornerbacks. The emergence of Kyer Elam, Jamarcus Ingram has been another guy that I think we've been wanting to talk about at camp, and even Hardy as a rookie had an interception, showed flashes where I thought, okay, maybe he's not just a returner. He could be the break glass in case of emergency. Cam Lewis alternating in and out. I thought he had a strong camp. All of those things make me feel very confident knowing that you are going to go in a league that is going 4 and 5 wide receivers more often. You need corners. They get nicked up. All those things, very confident in the corners.
I would agree. Going into camp, wanted to see how things would play out because you had those two guys that were so established, but what would be behind them? Obviously, Taron Johnson, what he is. I do feel very confident with the progression of Kyer. You mentioned Jamarcus Ingram. That's someone that really has had some nice moments.
Long, lengthy, physical corner.
Has had really nice moments throughout camp who I was not expecting. So I would agree with that.
I had a nice talk with Ingram today. He talked about confidence, and he was just saying as a corner, he's learned and that's what he's learned from a lot of the other corners is you got to have it, you got to bring it, you get beat on something, you got to come right back. And I think he certainly looks like a guy who's playing with more of that when he's out there on the field. You want to go second?
No,
Are you
I
going
said
with defensive backs? I'm going with offensive line.
That to me is really the only.
I got issues with snaps.
He's so negative.
What did Connor McGovern say today?
He
Something
talks about butt cheeks.
He did.
Butt cheeks
I was
and
like,
mustaches, that's what your conversation was?
Those are Fates' questions.
He talked about that Mitch would snap it more to his right butt cheek and that Josh likes it more in the middle, and then I just giggled.
Like a 12-year-old.
Yep.
Yeah. He did say butt cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny.
I hear you.
Yeah.
In my head, I felt like you could go cornerbacks, you could go offensive line, but I do feel more comfortable in cornerbacks.
Yep.
But let's
But
really
I like
talk
Alec
about
Anderson.
other spots,
I like
though.
Ryan Vandemark. I like the depth that they have.
They
for
do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anderson, Vandemark, those guys can play. It's Edwards. It's a key role.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think McGovern showed he could play last year. I think.
Yep.
Yes, the snaps are important, but I think he's good.
He did say he's looking forward to Saturday to be able to take some of those live reps, have the pass rush, have that, in-game situations. And all that experience is going to be very helpful.
It's a wrap.
All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
MVS caught a deep ball today.
And dropped one.
And dropped one right
Nope,
after.
bad throw. Needed to be higher. MVS is so tall and fast and athletic that Josh just
He
missed.
doesn't have long
He is
arms.
going to. You go ahead, embrace that. He caught one. Yay!
It was a great ball. That
Great
he caught.
ball. He ran down, he caught it. Next
then it
one
was a
thrown his way,
drop.
just clanked off his hands. Again, I will emphasize, and I said again, I will emphasize, this is not his issue.
I want to make the shirt Fates MVS versus the world.
It's
Fates
Like
MVS versus
Buffalo
everyone. Yeah,
versus-
Buffalo
This
versus
is
everyone.
not an MVS issue. This is DJF issue.
Yes.
This is all about Daniel.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
Tons of
yes.
Just awesome.
yeah, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. We always appreciate it. And we just want to mention to everyone. You want to read that, Dan?
3 days I haven't run into a jugs machine.
Really
Days.
proud of you.
Thank you.
He's
We're gonna have
stacking.
this-
He's stacking
stacking
days.
days.
He's stacking
He has
days.
not run into the jugs machine.
Love that
So
for
we're
you.
at 3 and counting. We
Love
have
it.
faith in you. We do. We
did.
Make
Yes.
it a week. We did it, Joe.
All right. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching the Buffalo
Coverage doesn't
Plus
stop.
channel presented by Connors and Ferris. We'll catch you next time here. See you later.